I'm Marc Dassler. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Energy Robotics. I spent my life somewhere in startups, in e-commerce, but also in the early beginnings in robotics. And since a couple of years, I'm teamed up with my former colleagues where I studied, let's say, robotics at the university and formed the company, which is called Energy Robotics, which is a focus of operating robots in let's say, dull, dirty, dangerous jobs like in oil, gas, chemical, power utilities, security surveillance, and even in the food industry. I started very early to build actually robots with so-called Fisher technique, which is kind of Lego technique thing, right? And that was one of the things. So that I want to build machines which are doing something, which have a purpose. Back then, there was not so much in autonomous mobile robotics, where I was actually interested in, which was part of my studies by using robots to play football, right? That's called RoboCup, where you put a lot of autonomous robots on the field, and then you press play, and then you hope you did everything right, and the robot does its job by himself and is hopefully winning. I did that a couple of years, and I'm proud to call myself 2 times world champion in RoboCup. But looking at my founder team, I'm the one with the least amount of academic titles. I don't have any PhD, and the least amount of RoboCup world champion titles, because everyone has like 3 or 4 times more than me. Working with smart, super smart nerds, people which are loving to make their hands dirty and move the whole idea behind using robotics for making our life better forward. And that's, at the end, we're humans, right? We love to work with other humans, and that makes a difference in my daily work, to have those great minds around me. And especially in Western society, we have an aging population. The demographic effect is massively. In Germany, in 2023, this year, we have about 1.15 million people going to retire, and only 700,000 something following into the job market. So you have a huge gap, and that gap gets even bigger because now the baby boomer generation, and this year is the first batch of those baby boomers going into retirement. And afterwards, the birth rate has dropped so tremendously that looking even the next 10, 15, 20 years, that we constantly decreasing the amount of people we have available, just not workforce, just people. When you look at let's say the predictions, by 2035, we would be 7 million workers less in Germany alone. And that holds true for whole Europe. That holds also true for US. And that is let's say, a dangerous trend we're moving towards, because we need people to operate. I mean, simply the power, the water, the everything around us is done, or let's say provided by people which are operating those infrastructure. So how to get out of that is to automate and digitalize as much as possible we can do right now, so that we are not burdening let's say the existing people with dull and dangerous and even very repetitive jobs, and therefore move them into high value generating jobs again, as well as enabling the coming, and there's just less people coming, that they can cope with all the things what people have done before. Even with what we have seen now with ChatGPT, for example, where everyone thinks this is a job killer. Yes, it will shift certain jobs into different areas, but it is not the massive job killer everybody thinks of. And same with robotics. What we've seen in history is that every time when we have, let's say, a very high employment, also the number of robotics goes up, because it's, at the end, it's a tool which is operated by humans. So you again need humans, but you just be more efficient and be more productive. And that's similar to what we see with AI as well, right? So we can just then do more, and we need to adjust our industry that might be, let's say, problematic for an individual, but as a society, we're just moving forward here. Obviously, that's an environment. So I'm getting a lot of input from left and right, from customers, but mainly also from team members. I'm with Energy Robotics. We are at the forefront of what's happening with autonomous mobile robots right now. So all my feeds, I have social media, are tuned to that. So all my people I talk to are tuned to that. So I get a lot of information about that. I rather would prefer that I get also other information outside of that, and that is actually the challenge, to know what's happening outside my bubble. Yeah, mostly it is like classic reading blogs, news article, social media, talk to people. Let's say the change from being a software developer into, that's that's how I started, right? I've been there for more than 10 years in developing software. Now moving much more stronger into business and being a CEO of a company. I think that to learn the skills needed for that, to also change the mindset towards, let's say, thinking big and wide instead of focused on a single problem, is a kind of mind shift you need to fulfill to be successful and be capable of being a CEO of a company. And I think that is one of the biggest challenges, which means I need to learn a lot of other skills in parallel and adjust my thinking towards strategic instead of tactical thinking. Get started. The benefit of robotics and AI is right now it is super cheap. So you can start doing that in your, let's say, in your spare time at home and start playing and learning with that. Without spending a lot of money, because there's already so technology widespread to a really easy costs available, and that allows you to quickly understand if that is your let's say your passion, if your passion lies there, and also connects you to the rest of the community. And there's no, let's say, there's no one thing which called roboticist, because there's so many different dimensions in there. Of having people working in computer vision, people working close to hardware, people working on robot brains. So there's a lot of, let's say, available spaces where you can move around, and it's important to understand early on where do you want to go so that you can deepen your knowledge in that space.